Sound matters. Be heard. Welcome to the podcast where you get exclusive behind-the-scenes tips to make your own show sound truly spectacular. This is Podtastic Audio.
Hey, what's happening, everybody? How are you doing today? Thank you so much for joining us. I am Chris of the Chris and Christine Show, and yes, this is Podtastic Audio. I believe we are on the 8th episode 8, which actually means I passed over the dreaded 7th episode fatal pod fading mark. That's true. At the 7th episode, it's like the average for podcasts that get started. If they can't make it past episode 7, then they're doomed and that's it. It's like 7 is the number where people just die off at. So 7, 10, 25, if you have like 50 episodes in the can already out there, you're doing a fabulous job. And if you're having a hard time with your podcast, like, gosh, I'm on episode 5 and we just finished 5 of these things and I don't even know how much further we got, or if my co-host doesn't really want to do it, because that does happen. The bands do break up after all, and I get that. So it does kind of suck, but try to find new ways to be inspired and new ideas to keep you moving. This podcast here at Podtastic, I had no idea how long I would keep it going or what, but I do love talking to you guys. So if you'd like to reach out to me and be a featured guest here on Podtastic Audio, you can email me. That is at podtasticaudio@gmail.com. Send me a little note and I will click over a little invite and we'll get you all set up to be on the show. And if you have any problems with your podcast or you're stuck or something, you can't quite figure out the audio right, then maybe I can help you figure some of that stuff out so we can chat about it and figure that out. And that's what Podtastic Audio is all about. It's about helping you get your audio good enough to where it can hang with the big boys. You don't need to spend a ton of money on junk to have a wonderful sounding podcast. Now remember, this is all audio, so nobody knows what room the studio looks like. Nobody knows what kind of microphone I'm using. Nobody knows what headphones I've got on because they can't see it. It's all audio, and that's the thing. As long as it sounds good enough, it sounds good enough, and that's what I'm talking about here on Podtastic. So today, we have a very special guest who also is another podcaster, and she has a very particular name. So particular, well, I don't want to spoil it for you, but her podcast is called Chicken Mind Nuggets, and she does not even work at McDonald's. Check that out. So it's a wonderful podcast. It's something called a micro podcast where they are short episodes. I didn't even know about that, but it's a thing where you can create podcasts as long or as little as you want. I've always said your podcast is yours, so do it however you want to do it. All right? I don't know judging here, just do it however you want to do it. So without further ado, here is the host of Chicken Mind Nuggets. Okay, everybody, and welcome back. And joining me now live, we have Wifey of Chicken Mind Nuggets podcast. How are you doing today, Wifey?
I'm great. How are you?
Fantastic. Wifey. Now, is that really your real name, Wifey? Or is that kind of like a name you kind of gave yourself?
No, it's not my real name. So my sister-in-law and our mutual friend Katie came up with that name for me, and they are a part of another podcast that I do, Despair and Distress. I don't give my real name out. It is for personal safety reasons, just because I have I have distant biological members of my family that I have spent many years separating from, and I feel much safer using the name Wifey rather than my real name because my real name is unique, and if they were to hear it and understand what I'm doing, it just becomes a mess. So I use Wifey.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Hey, well, good on you for doing that. And also, on that note, you probably wouldn't want to do a YouTube, like face-to-face YouTube channel type of thing then, because that really exposes you when you have your face out there, and especially your house and your stuff. Because I heard one guy actually, if you get really big, they will track down your location based on where things that they see in the background of where you live.
I've heard that too, and it's very scary to think about how we have the technology to do that. And even though I have posted some pictures of the inside of my office and a side and back view of my head, there's nothing that's so identifiable that you would be able to find it on Google. And I actually do have a YouTube, but the only thing on it is my audio form videos that I use Wave for. So it's my podcast, but in a Wave video format. So it's just like an audio video. That's all it is.
So you have like a still picture of like your image of something, and then you have like the audio playing over it on YouTube. Is that what it's like?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And there's like a little image that kind of moves with the audio. So, but there's no real pictures of me. It's the image of my logo.
Okay, well that'll work too. So wifey, how long have you been podcasting? Like when did you first start doing podcasting, even with your other podcast?
I believe we started Despair and Distress in October or September of 2018. And that one's been going strong ever since. And then I started Chicken Mind Nuggets, I believe about a year later. I think it's October 2019. So I've been podcasting for about 2.5, 3 years, I think.
Wow. So you have a little more experience than I do, because I started our podcast in 2019. So roughly around the same amount of time. So when you guys first started your podcast, what made you want to do it?
So my sister-in-law and our friend Katie, they're fantastic, and they have a lot of amazing banter. And I was at Danielle, my sister-in-law's house, and it was something her and Katie were talking about. And I said, you guys should start a podcast. And I was jokingly saying it. Danielle's jaw dropped, like, that's a great idea. Next thing you know, I get a call that I'm involved in a podcast. And I went, okay, this is happening.
You didn't have a choice. They put you in there anyways?
Well, we talked about it, and they said, what do you think about doing a podcast like this or that? And I said, oh, okay, it's happening. Sure, we'll go, let's try it. And we didn't know what we were doing. Our first session was at the dining room table with a little microphone and a laptop. I even think we said, hi, this is Daniel, Katie, and Wifey. We don't know what we're doing. I think that was one of our first sentences. And we didn't realize that it would become something that was so funny that people really enjoyed. And at one point, Chartable had us as number 39th in the country for improv comedy.
No way.
Yeah, and I took a screenshot of it. Yeah, it was really, really cool. I didn't realize that, that was a thing that we would get to that point. And so it was just really cool. And then I started Chicken Mind Nuggets because some of the philosophical things that I love to talk about wasn't really appropriate for the Drinking Creepy Topic podcast. And so I said, let me see if I can, make something of these little nuggets that I want to kind of share with the world. And so I created Chicken Mind Nuggets from that.
That's fantastic. So Chicken Mind Nuggets, I was listening to it. It's like really short, small little nuggets, I guess, like an actual chicken nugget of a podcast. They're like 5 to 6 minutes long average. Was that the intent of the podcast or all along?
Yes, the intent was to make it short and at the same time very compact. I didn't want to have to go about forcing words or forcing any content out that I didn't feel connected with the simplicity of any sort of message, just to create an episode within a time frame. I didn't think that was going to be genuine, and I didn't think that would be received appropriately. So when I started writing scripts and then saying them out loud to myself, I would record it and realize that they were very short. And then I was looking into the whole world of micro podcasting and realized that this is a really unique and great area to be in, because when you listen to a micro podcast, it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes. A lot of people have that time. There's not a lot of people that could sit down for an hour and a half and listen to a full episode of Despair, and I completely get it. So I was thinking about something that would also work with my busy schedule of working night shifts, being in school, and everything else. And I said, I think micro podcasts will work. Plus the editing is easy. I don't have to, really go about making sure that my script fits a certain time frame. It's all, well, what comes out today? What's the universe trying to flow with me with? And micro podcasts ended up working out.
So what kind of equipment do you use to record the micro podcasts?
So I have a Blue Yeti microphone, and I bought a compatible microphone stand. I recently bought a wall mount for my office. My husband helped me install it on the wall. I have I don't know what you call this. It's on it right now, but it's just like a circle filter, kind of helps with a popping noise, like a pop filter.
A pop filter. Yeah, I have one of those too, like right in front of it. Like
yes,
it blocks,
right in front of it.
So you talk,
it's right
it kind of it stops like the air from hitting the microphone at a harsh, like popping kind of thing.
Correct.
Okay.
Right. So I have that, and then I use Audacity to edit.
Well, there you go. I do too. I always preach Audacity because it's free and it does a lot of cool stuff. I mean, basically for podcasting, unless you're trying to like make like Lucasfilm special effects movie or something like that, you're not going to need that. But for the basic podcast, it sounds great, and your audio sounds great too. Do you do your own editing?
I do. I do my own editing. I record, go through the whole thing, edit, try to make it as clean as possible. Ever since moving into this little office in our new house, the audio for me has been so much easier. I was recording in my tiny house before, and I had to do this whole thing where I shut off my ceiling fan because in 120 square feet, you can hear everything.
Wait, did you say your house was 120 square feet?
Yeah, I built and lived in a tiny house for 5 years before buying this house.
The ones you see on TV? Like the oh, no way.
Yeah.
How cool is that? That's awesome.
Yeah, so we still got it in our backyard. It was, one of the things that was a big selling point of this house because my husband and I decided, it's time to buy a house. We've been together for, 10 years now, and I lived in tiny house. He lived separately, and it wasn't anything of conflict. It was just we practiced lat coupling. And so when we bought this house, it had an RV spot, and I said that's what we need. I have to keep my house. I can't ever get rid of tiny house, but tiny house, the recording in it, I needed to shut off the fan in the summertime. I'd have to shut off the air conditioning because it was too loud for me to have in the background, and I couldn't edit it out. And I live here around in the Phoenix, Arizona area, so I'd shut off the air conditioning in July.
No.
And it was awful. And so some of those recordings, you can't hear any of that background noise very well, but you can kind of hear the differences in some of the recordings, just depending on the day and the outside noise. I tried my best to edit everything out, but now in my office here, not much noise at all.
That's great. Yeah, I had to figure out that stuff too, because we did everything from scratch, and I didn't know anything about multi-tracks. I didn't know anything about different types of microphones. I didn't know that you could clear out some of the noise on the track until a little bit later, trying to figure that out. Tip of the day, kids, you can use the noise reduction feature in Audacity to just kind of highlight the noise that you do hear in the track in a quiet spot that no one's talking. And then you can hit, there's a feature where you can, if you've used it, I don't know, but it does take out a lot of the noise in the background. You can even fine tune it if you want to get really crazy on that stuff. I don't really do mess with that, but I kind of keep it to the basic settings. But I do understand about background noise, and if there's a car running by down the street, or if, your fan, because it's so hot, you got to get the fan on. We did that too. We had the fan going in here, and during the summer when we first got started, we actually had to turn the fan off because it would be picked up on the microphones. And then we're like, "Hey, turn the fans back on. We need a break," and then we'll get back to it. So with Chicken Mind Nuggets, the actual podcast itself, what is it you really kind of dive into?
I think the best way for me to describe it is just alternative avenues. I don't necessarily like to follow a lot of mainstream points of view. I look at different aspects of everything. It is an advantage and at the same time a downfall. But I'm sorry, my cat just jumped up on the desk. Hopefully you didn't hear that. So I like to look at a lot of different avenues of things, such as one of the episodes that I made that received some great feedback was Fitted Sheet. And that was about a conversation that I had with an old friend who ghosted me. They're somewhere now in Colorado, but they were scolding me because I didn't know how to fold a fitted sheet. And they said, didn't your mother teach you this? And I mean, I got scolded. And I'm sitting here just wanting to say, sorry, princess. No, you know that my mother, wasn't one who wanted to, that wasn't what she ever did for us, teach us how to fold a fitted sheet. And so something like that, though, triggered an entire mental spiral of where else I never fit in. And then I was looking at the benefits of that and where that has led me in life. And although the episode has had great reviews, I've had people say, I'm so sorry for what happened. I have people say I completely relate. So different ends of the spectrum. And what I'm getting at with the entirety of the message is I like to share a lot of the crazy things that has happened in my life, not only in hopes for connections so that someone else who has gone through some weird things doesn't feel so alone, but also to take a look at anything tragic that has happened to us, no matter the level of tragedy, and to say, you know what, it's okay. One of the things I like to say is nothing is bad as long as you learn from it, and everyone is a teacher. So even some of the worst people I've ever met and that I have interacted with have ended up being my best teachers because I've learned how not to be, how not to act, how not to treat people. I've learned the roads not to go down, and I have learned how I would like to conduct myself. And so I connect all those things into stories, put them out into micro podcasts, and I think I'm trying to let people know it's really okay. You can look at things differently. We all suffer in some way or another, whether it's mentally, health-wise, spiritually, and there's always good that you can pull out of it, and that can drive us forward. Or if you don't look at the good that's happened to you, then that can keep you back. And as a member of any society, I think that keeping yourself back doesn't help the collective. So as long as we can all grow and we can help each other within that process, you make a better world. You make a better everything.
That's right.
So yeah, I just try to, keep that flow going with that, and just let people know, everything bad is good as long as you learn from it, and everyone's a teacher.
Right. And on that same note is that the smart person learns from their mistakes. The smarter person learns from your mistakes. And
right.
And then keeps it going. Well, that's fantastic. So they said this podcast has been going on since 2019. Have they all been the 5-minute, 6-minute range?
I think that's about the average. There's some that have been, I think I have one or two that are maybe 10 minutes, 11 minutes. And those are the ones that are the longer episodes where I actually read some articles that I did for college. So I went, I got my bachelor's degree in biology, but I had to take several different classes. With that, of course, you don't take all biology classes when you're, getting your bachelor's degree. And I wanted to kind of share some of those things with people, such as the mesquite tree episode, and especially the one about CRISPR-Cas9. That one I called CRISPR Cream. And my cat just knocked everything over. I apologize for that noise.
Oh, no. What's the cat's name, by the way?
Elsie.
Elsie? Knock it off, Elsie.
Elsie, knock it off. If I don't let her in here, she screams. So I have to let her in the room. But so, for instance, like CRISPR-Cas9, that was something I did for college, had no idea what it was. And I was able to condense it, make it a little bit more podcast appropriate. But I felt that it was something that was still really important and powerful for people to know about. It's revolutionary, where they take this protein and it cuts out the bad part of your DNA.
What? Makes you a better person?
Well, literally, yeah.
Magic juice?
It is magic juice. It's so it's a protein that they put in. It cuts out the bad part of your DNA, and the theory is that it can get rid of those mutated parts of the DNA because it goes in and attacks it and then replaces it with good DNA. And the thing is that it works. It has been used in primate studies and animal studies, which I personally, it cringes me to think about animal testing, but I had to put that in the report, in order to for the report in school. And I kept it in there to let people know these things have been done. but they have found great success with certain people and certain diseases. And there's a lot of things holding it back. There you have the religious aspect of this is playing God. You have the government aspect of government saying, no, we're not going to let this happen to our people. Then you don't know the long-term effects of this, but there's a phenomenal YouTube video from a TED Talk. And if you just type in, I think it's CRISPR, CRISPR, and then CAS9, CRISPR-Cas9. I don't remember the girl's name. She's blonde, and she's one of the people that found it and invented it. And so that's not a philosophical message, but I use my podcast statement as I'm combining transformation science and mindfulness. And that was so important for me to let people know that this is out there, because we have a protein that can change your DNA, your DNA by inserting it. But the other transformations that we can do are a part of how else we change our mind. So I feel like we're coming to a huge complete circle of in the way that we can transform ourselves. If you're able to do this work on your own, look what else is out in the horizon. And I that's what I wanted to try to get out with that episode, for instance.
That sounds great. Are all your episodes kind of similar on the same topic like that?
A little bit. A lot of them aren't as sciencey. Crab pants, for instance, is not very sciencey. That was about how I spilled an entire tub of butter on my pants at a restaurant. So that one has nothing to do with science.
I want to hear that episode. Did you have to run to the bathroom and change, or what happened with that? Who solved the problem?
Nope. My husband solved the end problem by saying you're just going to have to soak them in Dawn dish soap, and I said okay, I will. But
while you're wearing them, interesting. How you pull that off?
No. When we got home, but it was at a restaurant. It was at Angry Crab, and we love Angry Crab. So I went there and I spilled the whole thing of butter. I have the seasonings from the butter all over myself. The customer next to me started laughing. I don't even know who they are. Yeah, and I'm like, no, never mind. I'm here. Let's do this. So I ordered another thing of butter. I'm sitting there eating, and I went home with seafood butter pants.
That's a band name from the 80s, I think. Seafood butter pants.
They're an 80s hair metal. They do a few ballads here and there.
That's right. Wow. Well, that's great. So you got home, took care of the pants stuff, but you put a smile on your face. You probably didn't. Because some people just go home crying about it and be like hide in their little shell and then not come out. But yeah.
Yeah, it was upsetting because I'm a minimalist. I don't really own a lot of clothes or a lot of things, and so this was one of 2 pairs of pants that I owned, and I didn't want to have to go buy another. But after a few hours of soaking it in Dawn, it worked out. I still wear them. They're saved.
So you say you're a minimalist. What does that mean so what does that really mean then?
I think that has a wide definition of meanings. And I think that because of the recent surge in minimalism with the attachment of this will bring you happiness, I think that it's gone in a horrible direction. And I definitely fell into that hole of having less will bring you more. And I still agree with that message in the sense of it's less for me to ever clean up. It's less for me to worry about. It's, I could keep track of my things. I do feel better controlling my spending and knowing that there isn't as much I have to purchase or maintain. But that aspect in itself, minimalism, doesn't bring you the happiness, because happiness is a mindset, and that happiness is fleeting. It's in the same thing of like chasing happiness. Well, happiness comes and goes, and you should be thrilled when it happens to you, but life isn't all happiness. So let's take those moments when we have it. And minimalism, I think, can be a great path to help bring you more moments of happiness, but it's not the path to happiness. And so once I realized all of that, I started looking at, okay, well, do I actually have to own 100 things then? No, I'm going to own the things that I feel are appropriate for me. And I do not like going shopping. I can't stand clothes shopping. I cannot stand shoe shopping. So I went, okay, what's easier for me to handle in that aspect when I look at minimalism? And I went, well, just wear the things that I like. So I've got 2 pairs of pants that are the exact same. I ordered 5 shirts that are exactly the same. I've got 2 pairs of coveralls, 2 sweatshirts, and just a few other small things. And that's it, because it works for me. So I literally wear the same outfit every single day. It's a green shirt, green pants. And the only things that I do buy a lot of are things for the cats. I spoil the hell out of them. They can never say that they don't have anything. They have 18,000 toys. But they're my kids, so that's why I spoil them.
How many cats do you have?
4.
4 cats. Are they all from the same same type of cat, or what are they?
No, they're all different. My husband and I got them at different states and different places. Elsie is a tortie, and Goat is a orange tabby. Demi is a multi-mix tabby, and Binks is as well. He's a multi-mix.
Now, the one question I have, because I just saw this documentary on Netflix about the cats of Instagram. Have you seen it?
No, I haven't. I don't have Netflix.
Okay. Well, it was a documentary all about cats and people who have like these cat Instagram pages and how many like their cats are like mega stars. Like the amount of like likes and downloads, they just take pictures of their cats. And what's one lady took her cat out to like these exotic, like, I don't know, kind of wilderness type places. And some of these pictures, she's like a professional photographer. I mean, she has like high-end cameras and all that good stuff. But her pictures were just the shots alone were just amazing. And some of these shots are like these goofy, cute little cat pictures, which are great and all. Do you guys take a lot of pictures of your cats and post them?
We take a lot of pictures of our cats, but we don't have Instagrams, so we don't post anything. We just keep the pictures to ourselves.
Oh, okay. I gotcha. Well, I mean, it's a thing. It's a thing I've heard about just by watching that documentary. I had no idea. I mean, I took pictures of the pets too and stuff, and I post them once in a while, but these guys are on another level. And we're talking like millions of followers and stuff, like, wow, it's just nuts. Well, I'm glad you guys have any other pets, just the cats?
Just the cats. We love animals. We're big animal lovers. We recently started a project called Blankets for Fur Babies. And what we do is we go to a thrift store and we purchase up comforters and really nice quality fleece blankets. And then we pick a different animal shelter every month and go donate all those blankets.
Wow. Now, what do they do with the blankets? They give them for the cages or what? Yeah,
they have them in the cages. The last one that we donated them to, we had a dog shelter we donated them to, and they were so happy. They said, we have a mama that's about to give birth. She's going to love this blanket. And so they use the blankets to, help the animals that are there. And animal shelters always take, good quality donations. They're very grateful. And so we pick a different shelter each month and donate those blankets. We just started it, and it's not anything I've really advertised very much. It's not. I'm not trying to get, widespread attention or anything. We do it because we love animals. We can't save them all. And so we wish we could have all the cats, but then, yeah, it's too much.
Are people having, are pet places or the humane societies, are they being overrun right now with COVID? Is COVID being a problem with pets being donated, dropped off, overstocked, that kind of thing?
I'm not sure. I heard a few things about COVID is helping the shelters, and that since a lot of people are home and they're trying to deal with all the new changes, that they're adopting a lot of pets. I've also heard that the shelters are being overrun with abandoned pets. I think it kind of depends on where you're at. I think it depends on the severity of how COVID has impacted a certain area. I'm really not sure. I really think that's just kind of a case-by-case thing.
So how's COVID 2020 affected you personally? How you guys holding up?
So it really hasn't affected me that much. I am an introvert anyway. I don't go to the movies. I don't really go out and do anything. I love being a homebody, and the things that I like to do on my own, I was doing before COVID. Tai Chi, meditation, some painting, some gardening, and I still do all those things now. Here in Phoenix, we've been a hotbed for COVID, so there's a lot of different changes in the area. And really the biggest change has been work. They are very, very strict on what we have to do in order to protect ourselves. And so that's been the biggest change, but it's not that big of a deal for me to wear a mask going to the grocery store or, going to work, and then I just come home and do the same things. So it hasn't really impacted me that much.
So are you working outside the house then, I assume?
Yes, I work outside of the house. I work 12-hour night shifts.
Wow, look at you. I'm kind of in the same boat. I do work night shifts myself, 10 to 12 hours. Depends, if how things go. But yeah, I totally understand what that's like. Having to go out and come back, and you want to just be home. Once you're home and you are home, you just want to stay there and not go anywhere. I get that.
Oh, yeah, I don't want to go anywhere. I've got, enough that we have to do here for a few things. And it just doesn't bother me to, for me, I don't want to go and interact at all those different places. It triggers my social anxiety, but it's not enjoyable for me. I'm not someone who sits down and enjoys a movie. I don't like to sit down and watch TV. It's all very scripted to me. It's very fake. I love documentaries. There's a couple out there and subjects I would like to watch over and over and learn more from, but get me into the kitchen to cook a new recipe or to do Tai Chi or out in the garden or listen to podcasts, audiobooks. I'm all about that, but I can't sit down and just watch TV for a long time.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way too. When I start watching TV or a movie, even if it's early in the evening, I start to fall asleep because I have to get up and do something to stay awake because I'm so busy. I don't sleep much and I pretty much run 24/7. So that's my world. But let's say, speaking of cooking, I was going to ask you, what is your favorite kind of chicken nugget?
I don't like chicken nuggets.
What? Get out of here. Get out of here with that, you. Man.
I don't. I called it chicken mind nuggets because all the little bits of information that I was putting out there, I called mind nuggets. And then every time I said nuggets, I thought of chicken nuggets. So I just combined it all to make it kind of funny, chicken mind nuggets. But I'm not a chicken nugget fan. I don't eat carbs. I don't eat bread. So I actually don't even eat chicken nuggets. I don't really like them.
Wow. Well, that sounds very healthy. I wish I could follow in your footsteps, but I'm I eat everything for the most part. It's just what I do. But actually I'm pretty fit, so I don't have to worry about it too much. So, but yeah, I guess, but that's great. Well, wifey, so where can people find your wonderful podcast? Which website?
So I have, for Chicken Mind Nuggets, you can go to chickenmindnuggets.com. I'm also on Twitter @mindchicken, and I'm on all major podcast platforms. It's iTunes, Spotify. You can find me anywhere there. And it's the same for the other podcasts, Despair and Distress. And we have a website, despairanddistress.com. And the Twitter handle for that is @BeerDis. We only have Twitters. We don't have Facebook. Facebook is just, there's too much going on with it. And, Twitter's a very easy thing to just use and send off a quick message, a quick tweet here and there. So, but you can find us online at our websites, on Twitter, or on anywhere that you listen to podcasts.
That's fantastic. Speaking of Twitter, I love Twitter. I use Twitter. We jumped in late to the Twitter game with our podcast, like probably, I think, maybe 5 months or something, or 4 months after we launched our podcast. We said, let's get a Twitter page. Let's just try this thing, And Twitter's been great for podcasting because everybody seems to share each other, and it's been really supportive of the podcasting community for podcasts in Twitter. I can't speak on Facebook or any other platforms, but at least with Twitter anyway, it's been great.
Yeah, Twitter's been really helpful. It's been a great resource for a lot of things. It's also been challenging to navigate. I've had, those keyboard warriors and those haters and, the people that message you. I actually just posted something because last night I received 3 messages from someone on the Despair Twitter. They retweeted my pinned tweet, which is, you like the banter of 3 drunken friends telling creepy stories or something like that. And she took that and sent me 3 personal messages about how God will save me. And I went,
really?
Okay, yeah.
Well, everybody has an opinion. I didn't know. Was it a direct message?
Yes, it was I think it, I just took a look at it and deleted it so quick. I haven't even listened to the show. We're educational. We talk about real things that have happened. And what I'm getting at, Twitter has people like that, but then you have really great people on Twitter. You have connections. You find people like how you and I found each other. I have met some of my best friends ever on Twitter. And even though I've never physically met them, they're phenomenal people and their families. So overall, I think Twitter is a really positive resource for podcasters. I
mean, I didn't know about it until we jumped on it, and I had Twitter before, but I never really used it much. It was like, hey, I got an account, whatever, But now that I'm on like every day, and I'm always getting notes, and I'm always reposting and retweeting other people's stuff. If somebody releases an episode or something, or plugs an episode, I try to be kind to like it and at least retweet it for them too. And if everybody can just do that and share other people's stuff, you can kind of grow your podcasting. Your podcast can grow and get more listeners potentially. That's really what you want to do, is share what you're doing.
Definitely, yeah, and everyone helps each other out on Follow Fridays, Podlift Tuesdays. So I think that the podcasting world on Twitter is actually a really positive community.
That's what I would say. If you're going to choose one platform, if you had a podcast to join, I would say Twitter, because you can do a lot of other things with Twitter too, not including that, but you also can post little clips. You can do short little video clips and little audio. I mean, there's so many different things you can do, and it's so quick and easy to do. I love it.
I do too. I definitely agree. You can post a snippet of your episode, or you can just send off a quick message about what's up and coming. So I really enjoy using Twitter.
Also, you can do a link to your website directly on your tweet itself, which is something you cannot do on Instagram. Instagram only lets you do the you can put a website inside like your description of you kind of thing. Your description you always have, like your face page or whatever.
Right.
And that's the only place you can actually put the website. In the actual post itself, you can't put a website. It won't let you do it. You can type it in there, but there's no link to it. So that's one thing I like about Twitter, is you can send links and embed links and things like that, which has been great.
Yeah, definitely.
So, Wifey, this has been so much fun talking to you today. And please, everybody, go check out Chicken Mind Nuggets, the podcast, wherever you find podcasts. And Wifey, what was the name of the other podcast again called?
Disbeer and Distress. So dis as in DISBEER, and then the letter N, and Distress. The Twitter handle is at beer_dis.
Fantastic. Well, Wifey, you have a fantastic rest of your week, and thank you so much for joining us over on Podtastic Audio.
Thank you. I hope you have a great rest of your week too, and thank you for having me. It has been a lot of fun.